question is, are tariffs an indirect tax on Americans?
Damn. He's talking about tariffs.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
And I'm sure as a CPA, you will steer us in the right direction.
Oh yeah. I'm sure. Okay, chat. I found what we're doing for the rest of the stream. So this is Indiana Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. She is a Republican House member from Indiana. She's Ukrainian.
As you can tell from my accent,
I grew up in socialist-controlled Ukraine.
And there's been some issues with her and the Republican Party over the past, year or so. Apparently, she got yelled at a bit.
See that? Listen, you need to hear what they really do, and if you want to hear that. So they came to the Department of Treasury, and they said, we want to make sure that there is a proper authorization of any funds that are dispersed. This is your money. You think we should be spending your money without authorization? No, truly. Do you believe you want your banking account money from your personal bank account sent without authorization by someone you don't know what for? Who many people want to do that? Raise your hand, please. How many of you want your personal bank account just disbursed no authorization? How many of you? No, raise your hands. How many of you? Is it not a common sense?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
What I'm just saying, is it not a common sense that when you disperse, this is your money, treasury is your money. So when treasury disperses your money, this is your money. Listen, I understand it. So I try to explain to myself, I listen to you. I'm telling you, and I'm going to...
Let's please use this as an opportunity to model the kind of grace and decorum we want to see represented.
Make me a yo-yo man, but the yo-yo master did not answer.
He just kept on yoing.
So, and we'll get a chance to speak. You know, so I'm listening, but not screaming.
I can get it from them. I can
Listen,
try
I'll be
to.
honest with you. I wanted to have a conversation.
Look at this graph!
But if you want to scream and match, we don't have to do town halls. You know, because next time, you know, we're going to have, that's what DOGE is doing. DOGE is actually trying to...
DOGE is doing.
He's supposed to wait hard.
Yo.
Okay. Oh, well, it's good.
5 minutes later.
Okay, we'll go to the questions. Obviously, this is a Marxist, yeah? Gray hair, jean jacket, yeah?
President Reagan noted that the new law demonstrates for all time our nation's ironclad commitment to Social Security. It assures the elderly that America will always keep the promises made in troubled times a half-century ago. It assures those still working that they too have
Promises made, promises care.
From this day forward, they have our pledge that they will get their fair share of benefits when they receive.
Yeah, chat, this is an Antifa meeting if I've ever seen one. You know, that, like, obviously, you know, you just look at all those gray hairs, and this is a Zoomer Antifa super soldier meeting, of course.
I would like to know how you will ensure that all Americans now and in the future will receive their benefits when they retire, and also respectfully ask that you stop the limits of Social Security. For example, Elon Musk, a couple of minutes past midnight on January 1st, he's done paying for the entire year. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Raise the cap. Raise the cap on Social Security.
Please, sir, please, you don't need to scream at me, okay? Let me answer the
Oh my God, these
you know, working. We have a lot of people, baby boomers are retiring, right? Less people in workforce. So the numbers start working very negatively for us. So it will have to be a discussion. Everything should be on the table. We'll have to figure out how to make sure that people get their benefits. But as I said before, there is no desire for bipartisanship. We tried to do bipartisan commissions. Last Congress, in bicameral bipartisan, in the Senate and the House, we actually had to introduce bills. I co-led it. I have several senators, Democrats and Republicans, co-led in the Senate. No one wanted to do it. So until we have, discussion with American people during presidential election, that discussion will happen. What do we need to do? But I can tell you, everything will be on the table because we have to resolve the situation.
Even your Social Security will be on the table.
People. But then there is no bipartisanship of this. We cannot even put fiscal commission anymore on even people agreeing to do it because everything became so partisan in this Congress and no one wants to work with President Trump on the other side. So that's why it's going to be So I'm just telling you, this issue will come in the next election. It's going to be a big issue. But this issue is not going to be resolved now because Democrats do not want to work on bipartisan.
Oh, God.
As a matter of fact, what Elon is trying to do, he wants to make sure that people who are using the system and get Social Security incorrectly, that they're not doing it so we can save the struggle. That's all he's trying to do. So,
Oh, my God.
12 seconds later.
But I completely agree. President Reagan said it right. We have to keep promises. We cannot put luck on these people's feet. We must keep the promises to what we promised to the people. That is a responsibility for us. We need to make sure that we balance the system, and that is going to be a discussion that must happen and hasn't happened. President Reagan said, well, Congress 30 years to deal with that. Well, guess what? Congress 30 years past, Congress hasn't dealt with that. But Congress will have to wake up. I am. And listen, and I fought so much with my own party last year to put that commission on the floor.
What?
People don't even know how much. But unfortunately, Chuck Schumer and Biden didn't want to do it and killed it.
Oh my God, this is looking awesome, dude.
Topics we received several questions on included the
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm from Thermal, and I just wanted to see what your plan is to address the issue with operations on Signal. And will you demand the immediate resignation of Pete Hegseth?
Oh, dang. Oh, dang. The people do not like Pete. Yo. Hey, Pistol Pete. Oh, damn, dog. Holy Hey, Petey Pete. Lock him up. Oh, hey, Joe. Wow.
We demand the immediate resignation of Pete Hegseth, Michael Waltz, and the rest of the group chat.
Oh, damn. Yo.
So let me just address. No, I will not demand their resignation.
No off-topic questions because I don't want to. No, permission denied. That's an off-topic questions. Next, you have been stopped.
Boo! Boo!
And actually, you should close all of the resignation stuff goes to the Senate anyway. So you should talk to your senators. Hopefully, they'll have town halls. You're both senators that you have.
Oh, go talk to your senator.
And talk to them a little bit more. But talking about that issue, one thing that I want to share with you, I think it is actually very bad, and there is some classified, unusually classified information. We have a mechanism to share that and deal with that.
Yeah.
There is sensitive information that might be not classified.
3 hours later.
And that's like for her, she's been very kind of like upset over the Republican Party and the just completely like, you know, going to completely different direction as far as Ukrainian support. But yeah, that's like something where she's actually been like pissed at the Republicans.
So I think with all of the technologies that happen in the real world, it's sad that government is so behind on every single technology. And actually that's what Elon is trying to do.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark, gothic MAGA.
Gas pedal, gas pedal.
Actually, that's what Elon is trying to do. He's trying to bring technology to the government.
Much later.
As a Ukrainian, or at least someone who was born and raised in Ukraine, would you actually support a NATO or international peacekeeping force as part of a peace agreement to end the war and also hopefully deter Russian aggression? I mean, for the foreseeable future, or at the very least, just offer Article 5 protection like the Italian Prime Minister suggested, I want to say like a few weeks ago, or wait, maybe it was a few weeks ago, I believe. I mean, that's my question.
Thank you.
No,
Russia's been allowed to get away with too much, and we have to deal with that.
Yeah, like no, this is where it's like she is like in support of Ukraine, you know, like and that's where there's been breaks between her and the Republican Party on this, but she's not willing to do anything about it.
Russia has been destabilizing a lot, and something happened, and this discussion's on the table. President Trump put everything on the table, and actually we need to make sure that how we can deter further. But as you know, the Soviet Union wasn't taken down by weapons. Soviet Union, which is Russia, a big part of it, was taken down by...
Oh, yeah. She was one of the ones that Trump called personally and yelled at her to change her vote. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And that's where you can only trust Junkie T, okay? Nostradamus, okay? Thomas Massey. When he says he's a no vote, he's a no vote. Everybody else are lying sacks of shit that if they get yelled at like daddy, they'll change their vote, just like her.
To be smart, Europeans to be smart because Putin will go as far as he'll be allowed to go. And I think, you know, thanks to a lot of things that
much later.
Never end in mind. We never have that. But we have to deal with Russia properly. It will take strategy.
7 hours later.
We have to deal with Russia, and it's going to be very tough negotiation and a lot.
1 eternity later.
I mean, God damn it! If you see some Marxist Leninist say this is definitely one of them, yeah.
Congresswoman, we appreciate it, and I hope that we can be somewhat more calm and collected and have a nice conversation. Because that's the only way, that's the democratic way of working out problems. My question is, are tariffs an indirect tax on American
damn.
goods?
He's talking about tariffs.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
And I'm sure as a CPA, you will steer us in the right direction.
Oh yeah. I'm sure.
Raise a short-term use of tariffs and long-term use of tariffs. And what President Trump has a tool.
Those beautiful word, favorite word.
And we agree, might disagree. Some of the things I might disagree with some I agree. But what he's trying to do, which some of the things I think it's a valid reason to say, if somebody's going to tariff us, you know, and we should, in return, tariff them to make sure that this country stabilizes.
This is last night. This is all filmed last night.
Bring American job back to us, back to manufacturing. You know, so and a lot of these jobs, you know, lots of jobs is significant burdens became for us because a lot of people don't have these opportunities. So I think we need to make sure that we realign them. So President Trump is using tariffs right now, you know, to try to be able to stabilize the situation.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I don't have a mic, so fair. But you do agree then that tariffs are in effect a indirect tax on Americans who are buying goods and services?
It depends.
It depends. It depends.
And I'll tell you why. It depends. If you have alternatives or not in domestic productions, if you do help your industry or not.
Who's the hottest Uber driver you've ever had? I never went to Uber driver.
It depends if you try to realign with that. Actually, President Biden kept a lot of President Trump's.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
Later that same evening.
Yeah, no, and look at this. Yeah? Commie.
Thank you. My question is actually related to all of the immigrants that are being rounded up and deported. Are they entitled to due process? Or are we...
Oh, damn.
Or is the expectation that we're just supposed to take the word of the administration that these people need to be shipped out of the country without any opportunity to defend themselves?
Yo. Hey. Hey-yo.
Let me answer your question. So, listen, we're a country of immigrants. I came here as an immigrant. We still have my Yankee accent. But we need to make sure that we have, we have legal processes and law and order. We cannot open the borders. We cannot create a system where coming here illegally takes decades. It's impossible. But coming illegally, you can come here and get a lot of welfare benefits. So we have to make sure that we get that border under control. I've been at that border many times. It's insanity.
Oh, she's been in the trenches, chat.
A lot of these people, what President Trump did it last time, what he tried. If you seek asylum, wait in the other country, not getting here in the country. So there is no due process if you come here illegally because you violated the law. Period.
No, wrong. Wrong. How do you know? How do you know? That's the thing is this is where it's like you violated. How do you know? And this is like literally the crux of the thing. And we could go back and have a very real understanding of originally when it come to this country, who is a person was in question. The due process is not. And as the country actually recognizes more of humanity as people, there is no you just broke the law. There has to be a due process to show that a law has been broken. Oh, and that's just it. You can't just round people up. I mean, and that's the thing is that the whole asylum for Ukrainians, and this is where, yeah, these are really going it out in a way that is shocking. You know what I'm saying? Because they are removing the waiver and all that type of to allow in Ukrainians. They're getting rid of that type of shit. I mean, they're hemming up white Canadian ladies, white German men, they're going to across the board. These are insane white supremacists to the point where they're distinguishing Slavs. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Slavic people? Sorry, not white.
Much later.
Jesus.
ELON's DOGE cuts. Do you
Education, what are you doing for the farmers in Indiana? Because Indiana is a farming state, and every one of those farmers lose money. And if you're not sure on that, you gave your credentials earlier, let me give mine. I grew up on a farm. I have an American FFA degree. I'm a master's level therapist as well as a PhD. So when I'm asking this question, I don't want to know for me. I don't want to know for my family. I want to know for the farms in Indiana, what are you doing to make sure that those products and those goods that they sell to other countries through USAID, through USDA, and through our Department of Education, what are we going to do? Because those are gone. They lost that revenue.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to farming, I am not a farmer, okay? But I did grow up in Columbus, Ohio, which means I was raised amongst the kern. And like, you got to plan this out. This idea that it was like, oh, well, the farmers are just going to plant something else. What? What do you like? Tomorrow we're supposed to just plant something else. And plant what? What are they going to plant to ensure they get money to live? I mean, this is a where it's like, these they just don't give a and the economic downturn, they don't care, and if anything, they're just happy about it. They're just gonna buy up your land and then employ that farmer as a worker. Yearn for the kern.
I have a farm myself. I have a farming operation. I drive combine. I have a farm. Thousands of acres that I farm. So I can tell you from first-hand knowledge, I actually write the checks for the chemicals. So today, let's check. The price is increasing.
Oh, I'm a farmer and I know about farmer. Like, that's the thing is like, are you reliant on farming to live? As a CPA, economist, member of Congress, who happens to live on a farm for funsies.
For the grain prices, for all of the seed prices, for all of the regulation, expensive combines.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Yeah, like lots of cash crop farmers are dependent on futures markets for their profits, so they kind of need to look long term. Yeah, that's the stonks, baby. That's how all of this. What are you selling right now? And what is the potential value of all of the work you're going to do for the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? That's how all of this gets.
3 days later.
And I watched a little bit of this. I think it might have been Saturday. Indiana Representative Spartz. And she's like the Ukrainian lady. MAGA chud, just absolute like Republican psycho. But since she's Ukrainian, that's like the one thing that she disagrees with the rest of the Republican Party on. She's in the cult, so her childhood home being obliterated, and nothing breaks the cult member. Yeah, apparently she did this interview with CNN after she got called out at a town hall.
All right, for weeks now, voters have been giving lawmakers an earful at town halls across the country. On top of President Trump's deep cuts to government agencies, frustrations are also mounting over the leaked group chat with top White House officials and national security officials about the U.S. military strikes in Yemen. Here's how Republican Congresswoman Victoria Spartz responded to her constituents' questions of accountability in Westfield on Friday. Congresswoman Spartz held another town hall yesterday. Ashton Hackman from CNN affiliate WTHR spoke with voters in Muncie, Indiana, eager to share their concerns.
Tax the rich! Tax the rich! Tax the rich!
It was confrontational from the start. Nearly 100 people filling the room in Muncie City Hall, pressing Congresswoman Spartz for answers on issues of government spending, health care, and DOGE cuts from President Trump and Elon Musk.
We need to take into consideration, and then we need to decide as a Congress, do we want to actually put it in the budget? So that is a discussion and work we have right now.
Answers at many times masked by uproars from the crowd.
Any opportunity that our representatives give us to be involved in their decision-making process, it's incredibly important to step up and do that. I'm not going to promise that they're always going to listen, but be a part of the solution.
Chelsea McDonnell is one of those constituents asking questions, sharing how cuts at the federal level impact lives on a local level.
I write grants for multiple organizations, including the Soup Kitchen, and we're going without answers about things like our FEMA grants, and it's very concerning for us because we really depend on that to keep people alive.
But it wasn't just those speaking out against Congresswoman Spartz. Many supporters were there to ask questions too.
I think more of our representatives do need to show up and talk to their constituents.
Randall McAllister went to both of the town halls. He said the current political climate makes it difficult to find middle ground.
We got to chill out and just listen to each other. Even if we don't agree, at least have that conversation. Instead of all the anger build up, just sit down, relax, and actually have a conversation.
Our thanks to Ashton Hackman from our CNN affiliate WTHR. All right, here with us now is Congresswoman.
I think it's like so crazy. It's just like it's like you're wearing this MAGA hat, telling people to just relax.
Of those town hall discussions, Republican Representative Victoria Spartz of Indiana. Congresswoman, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Frederica.
All right, so people in the audience in the Westfield Town Hall were quite upset, challenging you, among other things, on whether Defense Secretary Hegseth should be fired or removed. You said no to that. So what are among the other things that you told voters that you are considering as it pertains to DOGE activity, including funds and department dismantling?
Well, unfortunately, Frederica, these town halls, which should be part of the process for us to communicate with our constituents and have dialogue.
They've been taken over by ANTIFA.
Democrats and a lot of radical groups. This narrative that
yes,
are doing something wrong. And that's it lies. So I thought, regardless what really a lot of my colleagues understand, is becoming the same situation.
It's just ANTIFA.
A very violent group of creating chaos, which really puts safety of our staff and other constituents, police at stake, decided not to do it. I thought we still need to do it because we shouldn't be silenced, and we need to talk about the issues that are important for the American people, because we try to legislate a lot of good issues and that will benefit Americans. So we do that. But unfortunately, the acting was very violent. And I'll tell you about the questions relating to Pete Huck that is kind of hypocritical. That a lot of people are so fighting for the same due process for people here illegally, which realistically we can do only in a limited way. They don't feel that actually people like Pete Hegseth should have a due process.
No, yes.
And their position that they were
Well, people are saying that immigrants deserve due process, and no, it's Pete Hegseth who deserves due. Yes, no, sure, yeah, no, that 100%. Those hypocrites. How dare they? How dare they do that? How dare they do that? It's so hypocritical of them.
Innocent mistakes happen. We always have room for improvement, but I think they're entitled for more due process, not a mob rule, than illegals in our country that violated law and working with cartels and create dangers in the country.
So are you disputing?
The other side doesn't want to have dialogues.
So are you saying that the people that are showing up at your town halls are legitimate constituents? I mean, I would think that, you're in your third term.
No, only the people mad at me. Those are Antifa super soldiers. Anyone that says that they love me and they love Trump and they love Dodgy, those are the real constituents. It's obvious.
You probably recognize a lot of your voters at many of these town halls. And do you feel that that was representative of your district and the sentiments that people were conveying to you?
No, I'm actually a lot in my district, had a lot of meetings beyond town halls. This is organized by Democrats. They did a lot of social media posts.
Lady, this is a town hall organized by you and your staff? You organized, Nancy Pelosi didn't just invite you to a town hall, did she? Listen, listen, chat, okay? There's a whole lot of critiques you can do without going after how people relax, all right? Just because she's on that lean, okay? What's in her cup is none of your business, all right? There was a very stressful town hall. It was infiltrated by Antifa super soldiers, and she just needs something to take the edge off, chat. It just needed to relax a bit.
A lot of them were standing in very radical groups in my district was standing to make sure that they can get in first because we even expanded.
This is my emotional support perp. Yes, that's exactly it.
All day to make sure that they can get in first because we even expanded capacity for the first town hall. It still was, normal we don't have so many people because ultimately that's agenda, organ.
The agenda, yes.
To make sure they get in, little professional protesters, agitators, they do it in other places, that they get that they can flood the room, that a lot of legitimate constituents couldn't.
Oh, legitimate constituents.
We have a very diverse district, but they represent extreme left, not represent really the Indiana 5th district, because people don't, people in my district don't want violence. They don't want to spit on my stuff and scream for 2 hours, and they want to have a conversation. That's not a majority of Americans, and true.
Yeah.
Majority of Americans
Okay.
want
Well,
violence.
it didn't look like from a lot of the videotape I saw.
Where was the violence? Where is the violence? What do you mean?
That there was violence, but people certainly were very emotional. And some of the comments I'd say,
And that's the thing, is this is where so much it's hard to exist in this without just consistently seeing the media adhere to fascism. Well, I think there's some different perspectives on whether there was violence or not. Not, lady, what are you actually talking about? This is non-violent whatsoever. You were just getting yelled at because people are upset that people in their communities are losing their jobs. You don't care about people losing their jobs. Do you consider someone just being upset they lost their job? That's violence to you? Well, I guess there's some different perspective
here. There were a lot of sentiments about Elon Musk, who were challenging the powers of Elon Musk, and
my fifis were violated.
I wonder what you've been telling
hurts.
People, who are asking you and other members of Congress when they say they elect Elon Musk, they are concerned that he has overstepped his bounds. And even some judges have said that he has overstepped his bounds in some of the firings. What do you say to people who have showed up at your town hall who are expressing that? What are you saying to them? Do you think Musk has gone too far?
No, actually, Musk has been very helpful for us to bring more transparency in order to better the government, that the Congress can look and decide what actions we need to put into the law in our appropriation reconciliation. Because as an auditor, someone who has been talking now for years, and actually not just me, Government Accountability Office was talking how terrible and broken government. We don't have simple controls. We don't know where the money are going.
And I hate this type of shit because this is the type of thing that's just when you're talking about the Government Accountability Office, like the GAO, you talk about the Office of the Inspector General. These are the things that actually do what Elon Musk and DOGE say that they're doing.
No one is doing anything. At least he brings more transparency where American people can see now.
Oh, this is transparency. No, that's what I was talking about. Office of Inspector General, government accountability. And this is the thing, it's like, even as a staffer, you can utilize these offices to help figure out what the is going on, and this is the thing where you've got this agency. Every single department of the federal government has its own Office of Inspector General and Government Accountability Office. Thank you, Quad Service, for the 200 bits. Like, each one has a completely dedicated to their specific agency, trying to find waste, fraud, and abuse, trying to find out what are things that could make this thing, what is like making it inefficient, and what can be done to make it efficient. And they come out with these reports consistently, right? There's regular reports that come out, quarterly, annually, whatever. But then if there's some going on, they also focus in on those things and try to address what the hell, what the problem is. Then these reports, they get sent to Congress. The people who make the decisions as to whether to address those problems at all, they hand it to the people who are responsible, who have the authority over changing those systems, and then Congress doesn't do shit. The reason why I know, right? People know. The reason why we know that there are people in the Social Security database that are 120 years old is because there was an Office of Inspector General report listing out just a faulty data plan, right? Like the fact that the data organized, there's a lot of people who don't have an official death date. They're not receiving benefits, but they're just on the rolls. And the reason why we know that is because of the government accountability, because of the Office of Inspector General. These things already happen, and these facts are out there. That's the transparency. Legacy, and this is where, like, I've talked about, like, the Frankenstein, like, IT systems that the VA uses. And that's almost every government agency. You know what I'm saying? You've just got parts of agencies that are just older than, you know, than other ones. And as new ones, you know, develop and are created, they start on their own thing and then like own IT system, and they have to talk to other ones and all this stuff. And like, and the reason why I have any understanding of the absolute crazy wild of the VA healthcare systems, talking to the VA education systems, talking to the VA benefit systems, is because of these OIG reports. You've got real smart people who are just government nerds who do this job, and it's transparent. And I wasn't able to access this secretly because I was a government staffer. I was able to access it because it's public information, transparency. Yeah, but they do this report and they give it to the people who say they give a shit about Vardarans, and then those people don't do shit. They don't do a damn thing. Exhibit A.
The fraud and save these programs and benefits for the people that belong these programs to, that we have enough money and we're going bankrupt. And
we're going bankrupt. Idiot.
See, town hall was much more brutal in the way that they were much more organized, protested, and were actually very brutal to my staff. And some of
first one, you know, what are the actions? You said, you know, it's about the actions of the members of Congress. Members of Congress, you know, helped craft law, legislation. You have the purse strings. What are the conversations among members of Congress about how you are going to either keep in check the president or Elon Musk and DOGE when it's Congress who should control the purse strings, and when you have the president who says he wants to dismantle the Department of Education or restrict funding to the Smithsonian, which is congressionally approved? What is the plan of action among members of Congress?
God, see, it's just like, and this is where, once again, just trapped in the absolute failure of any type of media to just think for 2 seconds. Because this isn't a question of like, what are you gonna do? You know, like, well, how are we gonna, you know, this is what, like, this government is broken, and not like, oh, it's corruption and that, you know. All of that, yes, okay? Like, this is a country that was an apartheid slave state that literally went to war with itself to just deal with the slavery issue, but only as a matter of fair access to labor on behalf of the owning class, right? I'll never forget, like, Lincoln and these Republicans, they wanted fair access to labor and saw slavery as a antithesis to that. Not people should not be enslaved. Okay, there was that was not the case. Okay, like, up until this time, with the exception of the Civil War, up until this time, the American elite will always adhere to each other rather than any of the ideologies that they care to profess. And this idea that when Congress passes a law, the executive at least, like, goes through the motions, even if it, you know what I'm saying, like, it disagrees with it, right? And there's things that you could do per the agency to shift focus, but when Congress passes a law, the money gets spent. And this has been adjudicated through court hearings. This is just a you know what I'm saying, like, this is like an engine block. You know what I'm saying? You might be able to, well, they used to own the car. Now that I own the car, no, I'm not using Valvoline oil. I'm using this other thing. I can't think of a different oil brand. But the engine functions the same way. You could shift some things here and there, right? Oh, I use different air filters. I use different this. Yeah. But the engine works the same way. Not anymore. as soon as when Trump comes in, and it was like week one, as soon as they start just tearing apart agencies, as soon as they start sending in dodgy boys to halt the Treasury Department from issuing payments, the engine block is cracked. This, like just one of the ways this whole system functions has just been broken, and the Trump administration is gleeful. They are doing it out in the open. They're saying they're doing it more. And this is why it was such a big move for Chuck Schumer to go along and vote for the funding, as he's saying, well, a government shutdown is going to be worse, when they're just going through and firing tens of thousands of people at will without complete disregard of any type of normal functioning. And this is like, once again, of like, not this like, oh, well, if America promises liberty and freedom and all its citizens, all that's always been shit. But at the very least, the way that this thing kind of operated, right? They at least adhere to that. Now it's all gone. It's gone. And these types of questions of like, well, do you feel like we may be close to the constitutional? No, it's already been done. It's already been done. This thing is broken, and this is one of the cult members that is in on it, like asking her about this. It's just stupid.
Well, I think, unfortunately, just go to your point, 85% of spending, Congress doesn't even look at it for decades now. So until we reform our processes, which really hard to do on a partisan basis, it needs to be a bipartisan agreement.
Yeah.
Very difficult to reach.
So hard.
Unfortunately, we tried for a few years to try to.
Oh, they tried.
And couldn't get through it, and even though introduced it in both chambers, and only very few people want to govern, that's a problem, But now it's a lot of grandstanding for Democrats, so I don't see it very. But we'll still try to do it, So then, a lot of ways, reconciliation is becoming the only place for us. We at least can look at some terrible ways, fraud and abuse in some of these programs, like Medicare and Medicaid, for Democrats. And
I know she says programs, but it sounds like pogroms, and
we're going to be protecting fraud.
Holy
We can do. There are some things need to be bipartisan. We'll have to deal with it, but hopefully we can come to more common sense, because country is in trouble fiscally, and we need to govern. And I hope more people will come and listen to the Republican. And hopefully we will not be intimidated and silenced, and talk about good policy we want to do for all Americans, because good economy, good jobs, dealing with fraud, saving this problem.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Securing the future for our children, huh? That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Like this, this is a cult. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. You got a fascist cult as a party, and we're just going along with it. Well, do you feel like there should be some more transparency as to what DOGE is doing? It's like this is inefficient or ineffective, I should say, to do anything as to like even getting close. They're nowhere close. They should be screaming, "What the hell are you doing?" But there's nothing. There's nothing.